But let's move on. Let's move on. What else do I have on the docket today? Ooh, Joy Reid. Joy Reid's going to lose her job. I'm a little disappointed about this, to be honest. So we did Joy Reid reaction stream on Thursday before I had the coof. We did Joy Reid reaction stream on Thursday, and it was great. I love Joy Reid reaction stream. This Joy Reid reaction stream came with such gems as Joy Reid claiming that Ibram X. Kendi is not critical race theory at all. It really did. Go back and watch the stream. She had Ibram X. Kendi on her show, and she literally said, You're not critical race theory. Why would anyone think you're critical race theory, Ibram X. Kendi? But it looks as though Joy's time has finally come at MSNBC. And as Michael Malice, I believe, pointed out on Twitter, it is entirely possible that Joy Reid found out that she would be losing her job from Twitter. This from John at News Politics on Twitter. Source at Comcast. Joy Reid will lose her 7 p.m. show in the next round of reshuffling at MSNBC. She does not have a show come mid-spring. The decision has been made. The only thing left is messaging on the move, which will be ratings. As was the case with Chris Cuomo at CNN, Reid has allies at Comcast. However, she is now viewed as unmanageable by many. Also, similar to Cuomo, it appears that those allies have found out she has been less than truthful about past incidents, to include homophobic blog posts that Joy Reid made back in the day. Also, like Cuomo at CNN, watch for MSNBC/Comcast to defend her right until the announcement. This is going to be the most fascinating thing to watch because there have been rumors about Joy Reid for a really long time about her losing this show. And they've always defended her. Watch how long they defend her. Watch how quickly she goes from the time they stop defending her to the firing. It's going to be quick. That's something we can pay attention to. I had the scoop last year. Chris Cuomo was going to get axed by CNN, and then after he was suspended, got the scoop, he was not coming back. I got very few personal attacks from his fans. Joy Reid's fans, however, Lord. Joy Reid is insane. Also, I tweeted this back in November. Executives have been contemplating a change for months, but not until recently has the decision been made. So you can see his November 22nd tweet right here. There is serious talk all the way up the food chain at Comcast about Joy Reid's future at MSNBC. And for people unfamiliar with her past homophobic controversy, you can find the article there. Just look up this thread on Twitter. You'll be able to find the link to that. But I'm a little disappointed. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more Joy Reid reaction streams. I guess we'll have to get in as many as we can between now and spring. But let's not kid ourselves. What the hell else is Joy Reid gonna do? What else is she gonna do? She's gonna show up somewhere. She's gonna end up on some media platform somewhere. Maybe she'll be on like BuzzFeed will launch a whole series. I don't know. She's gonna end up somewhere though. Don't worry. Joy Reid is not gonna disappear. Of this, I have full faith that Joy Reid is gonna end up somewhere else where she will probably get even more crazy than she is now. And we can continue to watch and make fun of her. Kevin Cosgrove asked, Carlin, are you feeling sick? Tested for COVID? Yes, I have COVID. I just got my test in the last hour. And as a result of me having COVID, if you would like to become a member of my locals community now and tomorrow only, today and tomorrow only, just use the promo code COVID and you can get a free month. I think that's a pretty good deal. Guys, please make sure you mount that like button if you haven't already. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined. Maybe if you just feel sorry for me because I'm sick. I don't know. But let's move on. What do we have next on the docket? Oh, well, when they're not firing Joy Reid, Democrats are still obsessed with how to keep Trump out of office in the future. Now, this is something that, listen, they tried to do this. This was the whole impetus behind the impeachment 2 thing right now, where they had to impeach Trump even though he had left office already. because they wanted to prevent him from running for office in the future. Well, that, of course, failed. And so now they're trying to make sure that Trump doesn't run for office again. From the Hill, Democrats quietly explore barring Trump from office over January 6th. Now, do you know what I think is so funny? Harkening back to Joy Reid. We've done 2 Joy Reid reaction streams on this channel. The first was the night of the Jussie Smollett verdict. And basically, I wanted to watch Joy Reid to see how she would respond to the guilty verdict on her boy Jesse. And she didn't even talk about it the entire time, and instead spent the entire show talking about Donald Trump. That literally happened. You can go back and watch it on the channel. Joy Reid spent the entire show talking about Trump, did not say anything about the verdict at all whatsoever. Now, in the reaction stream that we did on January 6th, Joy Reid was like, "We're not even going to mention Trump's name. We won't dignify him by even mentioning his name." So it's like, these people love Trump. They're obsessed with Trump. They don't know these people would not know what to do if Trump wasn't around. It's like they literally build everything around Trump. Even when they're saying, we're not even going to mention Trump's name. All they're talking about is January 6th. So, like, do they even have to? But they have to make a purposefully big deal out of it. They're like, no. We're not going to dignify the former president. No, I'm not reading your screen name, man. Good evening. How you doing? I mean, apparently not as good as you, 9 Inches Uncut. Congratulations on that, man. Congratulations. Emphasize, here's some money for honey. Get well soon. Thank you, Emphasize. See, now's the time where you want to email me and ask me to unblock you on Twitter because I'm in a generous mood. Having COVID puts me in a generous mood. I'm not as apt to fight. I don't have the energy for it. All right, let's read this here article. Thanks for bearing with my hacking, guys. You know, it's just the deal. In the year since January 6th attack on the Capitol, a handful of Democrats, constitutional scholars, and pro-democracy advocates have been quietly exploring how a post-Civil War amendment to the Constitution might be used to disqualify former President Trump from holding office again. Calls for Congress to take steps to strip Trump of his eligibility, which reached a crescendo in the aftermath of the January 6th riots, have since decreased. But those who remain engaged on the issues say discussions about applying Section 3 of the 14th Amendment have been ongoing. They just can't let it go. They're so afraid that Trump is going to run for president again. I don't think Trump's going to run for president again. That doesn't mean I don't want him to. I think it would be the most entertaining thing that's ever happened ever. But I have a gut feeling. I agree with Joshua on this one. Joshua predicts this almost every time we ask him on Tuesdays, is like, I don't think Trump's going to run again. But, I would love for him to. I think it would be comedy. But they're so afraid of it. If anything, the idea has waxed and waned since Lawrence Tribe, a constitutional expert at Harvard Law School. I hear it being raised with considerable frequency these days, both by media commentators and by members of Congress and their staffs, some of who have sought my advice on how to implement Section 3. An analysis by The Hill found that around a dozen Democratic lawmakers have spoken either privately or publicly over the last year about how Section 3 of the 14th Amendment might apply to those who engaged in the insurrection on January 6th. I mean, has anyone actually been charged with an insurrection yet? You know what this is really about? They know they're going to lose the House, and they're trying to see how much nonsense they can do before they lose the House. That's what this is really about. Among those whose offices have spoken with Tribe are Representative Jamie Raskin, no shocker, Jerry Nadler, no shocker, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is the woman that literally screwed Bernie Sanders out of the nomination when she was head of the DNC. I continue to explore all legal paths to ensure it that the people who tried to subvert our democracy are not in charge of it, says Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, if you remember back to 2016 and the contest between Hillary and Bernie, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is literally the person who made sure that Hillary's team knew what questions were going to be asked in the debate and not Bernie's team. So she's one to talk about subverting our democracy when she was putting her thumb on the scale. Nat D says no one remembers once January 6th except cable news and Twitter. I mean, it was kind of a glorious day on Twitter. What I am happy about is to see the right finally coming around to the fact that they shouldn't be sorry for this. I was saying it from the very beginning. I was literally saying on January 6th, I was like, man, I was glad to finally see them stand up for themselves. I went to the Capitol. I went to DC that day, not really thinking that Trump was going to be reinstated or anything. I just wanted to see what would happen because I knew that whatever happened, it was not going to be reported on the news. So I wanted to go see for myself. And I have always said that I found it to be a very beautiful sight to watch little old ladies all dolled out in their fur storming the Capitol. There's something that was really compelling and really beautiful about that whole scene. And I'm not saying the violence. I'm just saying people standing up for themselves, empowering themselves. I thought it was a good thing. And I think if the right had taken more control of the narrative and had said, we don't apologize for it. You were rioting all throughout 2020. We are not sorry. I think we would be in a very different situation today if the right had just found their balls and stood up for themselves in the first place. But what I was happy to see on January 6th was that people were making fun of it. They were standing up for themselves. So better late than never. David Skidmore, thank you for the super chat. Get well soon. I greatly appreciate that. Guys, I really don't feel any worse than if I had a cold, to be honest. Like I said, I thought I had a cold. That's what I thought I had up until like an hour ago. Nadler Raskin did not respond to a request for comment. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which was ratified after the Civil War, says that office holders who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same are disqualified from future office. Well, it is a shame that Trump hasn't been found guilty of anything. You know, it's funny. I saw a tweet from, what is his name? Jason Johnson. He fills in for Joy Reid sometimes, and he was like, I don't believe that we live in a world where Trump hasn't been charged with anything and his family hasn't been charged with anything. I was like, keep going, Jason. Why haven't they been charged? Why haven't they been charged? Oh, because they didn't do anything? Because they're not guilty of insurrection? You know, if they could get them on insurrection, they would have charged them a long time ago, please. Raskin, a former constitutional law professor, served as House manager, blah, blah, blah. The point is that the constitutional purpose is clear: to keep people, exactly like Donald Trump and other traitors to the Union, from holding public office. More constitutional scholars who spoke to The Hill think the provision is not self-executing. In practical terms, that means applying Section 3 to Trump would require an additional step by lawmakers to make the 14th Amendment operative. Some scholars believe that Congress, by simple majority in both chambers, could act on its own to find Trump engaged in insurrection. Well, isn't that convenient? Under the 14th Amendment, restoring Trump's eligibility would require a supermajority vote. So there are lots of people that think lots of things, basically, is what this is saying. But let's be honest. They ain't going to get Trump on this. Come on. If they could have gotten Trump on this, they already would have done it. This is just nonsense. This is not real. But it's entertaining. And so we cover it anyway. Guys, this is F'd Up News of the Week for January 9th, 2022. I sound a little funny because I have COVID. But I'm going to power my way through anyway, because that's what we do here. Now, as a reminder, I'm now streaming every day live on this channel, Sunday through Thursday, including F'd Up News today. But then I will also be streaming tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 5 p.m. on this channel. On Fridays, we go over to my second channel, Actively Unwoke, for happy hour at 5. You can subscribe to my second channel by following the link in the description below. If you're watching on Odyssey and Rockfin, we stream on the same channel every day. And that's a little new schedule that I'm getting myself in. I'm enjoying it so far. Let me know if there's stuff you want me to cover. I'm not just going to do news every day. Tomorrow, what I'm thinking about doing on my Monday stream is talking about Lindsay Ellis and her letter that she wrote, resigning from all public life, which I actually kind of, to be honest, I read a little bit of her letter. I didn't read the whole thing because I wanted to basically do a reaction to it if I was going to do that. But I identified with some of it, man. I did. Not that I feel sorry for her because she made her own choices and she has absolutely contributed. But there were elements of her letter that I completely understand. So I'm thinking about talking about that tomorrow at 5 p.m. I hope you guys will join me for that.